here comes Buddy Cottontail, right down the Buddy Trail. Everybody, Easter's on its way.
Oh, boy, Tony's greatest hits.
Happy Easter a little early, my friend. It's a Saturday
you.
morning here, and a holy Saturday to you and yours, and welcome again to the starting lineup here, the Easter edition, if you will, on ABC 3340. Got a lot to get into today, friend. How are you? How are you? What's going
I'm
on?
doing great. Just got back from Vegas, and my granddaughter was born, and that was a glorious event. 7 pounds, 12 ounces. Aria Rain Keefer is with us now.
Nice.
And got to spend a lot of quality time with my grandson King. We went to 2 Golden Knights games and wrapped up the Pacific Division title for the Golden Knights, the playoffs, starting today in both the NBA and the NHL.
Yeah, we got a lot going on with, and I love the fact that we have 2 of the major sports, of course, starting their playoffs. We also had the transfer portal open up this week on Wednesday, and some big news in college football with this guy named Nico out of Tennessee.
The savior. He's going to come to Knoxville, and it's going to take Tennessee back to the promised land. Well, that journey lasted 1 season.
What's funny about that whole thing is Tennessee was actually part of the lawsuit against the NCAA, and of course the House versus in the first case. So they were the one that kind of set this whole thing. Not to say they're the only ones, but they got the ball, as we say, got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And of course they had a deal with Nico. It was somewhat of a contract. I don't know if it was verbal on a piece of paper, but evidently it just wasn't up to his snuff, wasn't up enough money. And I'm not going to give an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old a hard time when someone gets chirping in his ear, hey, you're worth $3 or $4 million.
His father, mainly.
And it probably was his father. Had a really good talk with Mark Ingram, the UAB athletic director. He's kind of my inside source for a lot of these things, and is incredibly transparent on a show we do, the UAB Director's Chair, and said, you'd be surprised, and they said maybe not surprised, how many parents are now involved in their kids.
And especially in the Polynesian
life.
culture, your dad is the guy.
Yeah.
And so if he told Nico, don't go to practice, until we get an agreement, Nico just didn't show up, wouldn't answer his phone. I mean, that's how Josh Heupel in Tennessee knew Nico was out of there.
Judge Wilkins on Monday came out. There will be a roster size that's going to be going down from 120 to 130 kids to like 105.
Yep.
I'm not sure why exactly that's going to be happening. And of course, if you're a walk-on, good luck, because there's going to be a lot of kids moving around. The fact that you can transfer now at any time you want, as many times as you want, every semester if you want. And I was talking to Mark too, and I said, what is the disadvantage to not doing that? Or is the NFL going to go, hey, this guy's really loyal. He stayed with UAB, or he stayed with Middle Tennessee State. They're just looking for the best football player. So the best analogy I heard is we are flying the plane as we build it. And I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Interesting. It's amazing how many coaches came out and really criticized the Nico decision when, it's fine for coaches to say, well, guys should be loyal to the program and should live up to the terms of his agreement. But these are the same guys that jump jobs like crazy. They've all got agents. They want the best deal. I mean, it's just the system that's been created, and you can't blame a player. Nico, 2 years ago, got this groundbreaking $8 million for his career commitment from Tennessee. Well, the very next year, a kid from California just like him got the $20 million offer to go to Michigan. I mean, that's double what he got just in a year. So I really don't like the fact that these coaches are saying, and I heard you freeze right away on Paul Feinbaum going, well, you think you know these kids and have a good relationship, but they've got to learn to live up to their agreement. Well, as soon as coaches start doing that, then maybe we can expect the players to do it.
Amen, Brother Ben. It's a great point. The other thing that's amazing, too, is we've got more probably agents now in the United States than we've ever had in the history of sports.
Why aren't we agents, Tony?
And let me know this: your regular agent, your big time agent, your agent that deals with major sports, 3.5% to 4%. You know what the going rate is for agents right now for college football players? Let's go 20%. So when your brother, your uncle, your dad's going, hey, I got this, I'm going to handle this is something I've always wanted to do, we'll keep it in family, and I'm only going to charge my son 20%. 20%. So before you sign on the dotted line or the napkin, make sure you get a good deal, because that is way up and above what normally agents make.
Yeah, and until we have a binding contract in these agreements, because a lot of them are just handshake agreements or, we're going to pay you this much or that much, this is basically professional football now. And the fact that not a contractual agreement, and if there is one, nobody honors the terms. It's just laughable, and it was predictable we were going to get to this place.
The other analogy I heard is we have killed amateurism and professionalism hasn't shown up yet.
That's a good one.
Hey, earlier this week, Brother Bill Oliver passed
Yeah.
away, and you and I were talking before we started the show, just an innovator and an amazing, amazing football coach, and I know you wanted to mention him, and one of your favorite interviews of all time, huh?
Yeah, I know you've been doing this for so long. I'm sure you've had interviews with luminaries that stood out. I had Brother Bill on about 10 years ago on a show I was doing, and I asked him one question basically. Bill, let's go back to the 1992 championship game. Alabama, significant underdog against undefeated Miami, a team that was number one, was averaging over 40 points a game. Your defense did not allow them to score in that game. That's the famous game where George Teague ran downhill the Miami receiver who was like a world-class sprinter and stole the ball from him in mid-stride.
Yep.
That was an incredible game. And for the next 20 minutes, Bill Oliver told me all of the X's and O's, how he came up with all these different things. And he mostly was praising the guys on his defense because it's very rare in football that you can completely overhaul everything. He believed that Gino Torretta was not the same quarterback. He had won the Heisman Trophy.
Yep.
He was not the same quarterback with anybody putting pressure on him. And Miami had 3 first-round draft picks going into the draft that year on the offensive line, so nobody really touched him all year. So they came up with the most innovative blitz package, pressure packages, and they just completely unnerved Torretta, who couldn't see straight in the game. But it was really the forerunner. You've got things now that people have taken from that game and that innovation by this coach, the zone read blitz, where defensive ends drop off in coverage in the flats or in the intermediate 10 or 15-yard range, and you bring safeties and corners. You bring guys from all over the place. That was unheard of until that game in 1992. Bill Oliver, one of the great innovators, and in this state, he is from Epps, Alabama. He coached at both Auburn and Alabama, which is a really rare commodity. He was actually, remember when Terry Bowden left amid scandal at Auburn, he was the interim head coach the rest of the year there. So Bill Oliver, rest in peace. What an unbelievable mind, way ahead of his time 30 some odd years ago.
No, he was fantastic. And of course, that game you mentioned, our good friend Jay Barker, I believe his line was 5 of 18 for
not exactly
62 yards.
Didn't light it up.
And they put up 34 points in that ball game. He's like, hey, I'll take that line all day long. And by the way, congratulations to a daughter who just got drafted in the WNBA. She put up that 45.
Awesome.
Yeah, she put that. Sarah Ashley did a fantastic job for the University of Alabama. So congratulations to her. But I've had a lot of interviews, and normally when you interview someone like Brother Bill, we had him on numerous times. You kind of know their cadence, you know their gait, you know how they're going to reflect and differentiate their answers from their responses. And you know which ones are going to be really good and which ones are going to be really fast, one-word answers. Bill was one of those ones where you just had to have one really good question, and you were set for about 10, 15. Mine obviously would be Michael Leach. God rest his soul as well. But Mike was one of these guys where he would even say, listen, if you want me to keep talking, just don't ask me another question.
That's awesome.
And I'd say, pardon me? And he goes, just don't ask me another question. He goes, when I hear enough dead air, I'll just keep talking again. So he continued to talk, but he certainly was one of my favorites.
We mentioned George Teague, who was a great interview in his own right, who made that play. I once asked George Teague, how did that happen? He goes, well, I had gone on blitzes the 2 previous plays. It was 1st and 10. I thought they were going to run the ball. I said, how did Hill get so far behind? He said, basically, I was just asleep. I was lazy.
Yeah.
And that kind of honesty is great. Somebody asked him also about Bill Oliver, why was he never considered to be head coach at Alabama at any time? And George Teague goes, let me just put it this way. Coach Bill wasn't exactly politically correct.
He was not. He was fun to play on the golf course. Let's put it that way. On the golf course, you can pretty much talk about whatever
Tony
you
Lee
want.
Corso has announced he's retiring after 38 years on College Game Day. 89 years old, the rigors of travel and everything. What an institution he's become. Maybe here now that we're not going to be competing with him putting on the headgear on Saturdays, maybe we'll go to a headgear situation.
We'll put something on your head. He's going to turn 90 coming up a little bit later on in August, and of course is with College Game Day since 1987.
That's
so he's
incredible.
done a fantastic job. We got a big show for you here. The starting lineup: Case Keefer. We're going to be going out to the desert, getting some great plays. Of course, we just had the Masters. He hits again. He's just been unbelievable on his futures plays, and of course, we're going to have the Legend Cave and more all the way here.
Alabama spring game highlights,
and spring game as well, right here in the starting lineup.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino turns dreams into reality. Like Roger M., who just won over $51,000. And Rebecca, celebrating a life-changing jackpot of $160,000. You could be the next to dance the Icky Shuffle with a big win.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Don't miss your chance to be our next big winner at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Oh, welcome to the Legend Cave. Monty Bauer with the great pass. He was Terry Bradshaw back in the day, way back in the day. It's an honor to be here on the Golden with the Golden Boys today on a Saturday morning. The great Tony Curry, Kip Keefer, Bonnie Bauer, and the legend, the Golden Boys of Birmingham Sports Radio. I've been down to the A-Day game. I've talked to all the scouts. I've talked to all the people in Alabama, and I'm going to tell you about it this week right here in the Legend Cave. But before we do, let's have a moment of silence for Brother Bill Alger. We love you, Brother Bill. Who can forget? Miami can't forget. I know I can't forget when we put that foot in Miami's butt down there in the Sugar Bowl and ended that dynasty. Oh, Brother Bill's up there. He's up there with you this morning, Bear. He's up there in heaven with the Bear this morning. I think I'll put a Bill Alger statue on this side of the Legend Cave. What, Bear? Bear said no, he's the only one getting a statue, so Bear's word is final. But down at the A-Day game this past week, I seen the three quarterbacks, and it's clear that Ty Simpson right now is the starter. The 3-year veteran, he looks the part. He looks like he's a quarterback. He looks like he is a game manager. I know last year we had a running quarterback, jumping over things, throwing 3 interceptions in 1 quarter, and then looking like a superstar the next game. I don't think we have to worry about that with Ty Simpson. I think he can make the 10-yard pass. I think he can throw the bomb. I think he can hand it off. I don't think he'll throw 3 interceptions in a quarter. He won't be Jalen Milroe, but that might be a good thing, Alabama, because I want to tell you he has the best receiving core that I've seen at Alabama since the days of Jerry Jeudy. I'm talking about Hollywood Williams. You know how much I love Hollywood Williams. But you got an Isaiah Horton that's came from Miami. You got Jeremy Bernard back. And I want to tell you, those 3 guys will create a 3-headed monster that Alabama hasn't seen at wide receiver in years. And finally, we got a coach. Ryan Grubb has arrived, the offensive coordinator from Washington. Nick Saban wanted him. He didn't get him. Coach DeBoer wanted him last year. He didn't get him. He went to Seattle Seahawks, but he's back this year with Alabama, and you see the difference immediately in the offense. They don't look confused. Everybody knows where to go. We don't have a 5-man line trying to block 7 people like we had last year. I see better formations, more confident. Oh, I'm getting happy. I'm spitting. I'm getting happy. Not even football season, ladies and gentlemen, but I am happy about what I see about this Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, somebody sent in a question this week and wanted to know what Legend thought of the Nico situation. It's a horrible situation. It's horrible for a young man to go through this, for Tennessee to have to go through this. Monty Bauer over there in tears. It's horrible. Unless you're an Alabama fan. I absolutely love it. I love it. I wish Gunnar Stockton leave. I wish every starting quarterback in the SEC would get out of town. I love it. Alabama's schedule just became easier, baby. I'm about to lose my hat right here. I love every freaking second of it. Don't like nothing about Tennessee. It's all Alabama, baby. It's all Alabama all the time right here in the Legend Cave. And the Auburn fan came by the other day, and I sent my Doberman on him. I ran him off down the road, ladies and gentlemen. And here in the Legend Cave, it's all about the Crimson Tide. What a day that day. Only 15,000 people. That was disappointing. It's like we're losing it. Bear, what's happening? Where's the enthusiasm? Don't give up on the Crimson Tide. Don't give up. Remember the A. Remember the Bear. Remember Bill Oliver, Major Olivey, E.J. Jr., Derek Thomas. Don't give up on the A. And most of all this week, if you go to your psychiatrist, remember it's just a game. Don't be like the legend. Plum Sports Insane.
Before we get some thoughts on the NBA and NHL playoffs with Kip Keefer, I want to thank some of our great sponsors, of course, the Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. They do wonderful work. Stuart Rome's been on this couch right here. Go pamper yourself and get it done at the Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. And also Sasquatch Toys and Comics down there in Homewood. The Legend's gotten some toys from there. I've gotten some Hot Wheels stuff. Comics from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, unopened stuff from Legos, from Star Wars, you name it. They've got all the stuff. You got some stuff in your closet and or your attic, and it's unopened. It's worth big bucks. Taking to Sasquatch Toys and Comics right there with Seth and his crew in Homewood. K4 Sports, we're doing pretty good on K4 Wins. I call it K4 Sports because we're all sports. We talk about a lot of things, and a lot of things we're going to be talking about in K4 Wins is, of course, the NHL and NBA playoffs, and you got some plays as well.
Yeah, I think some of those matchups are pretty desirable. If you watch or you listen, I guess you watch the podcast because we are all, our lovely images are part of that. Mm-hmm. We do it every weekend on Friday. It's usually posted by Friday afternoon, Friday evening. It's myself, Tony Curry, Case Keefer out in Las Vegas, and Kai Gregory, kind of the glue that keeps it all together. He maintains the website. And we really have a great team, and we've been very successful. Case is such a resource. Talking to his peers out in Las Vegas, he was kind of busy having a new child born, but went to a couple of hockey games and talked to some of his colleagues, and they have so much respect for his knowledge and just his unbelievable record of accomplishment on so many sports. So you get him absolutely free of charge, all of his thoughts.
We were talking about all these agents now charging 20%. There's so many scammers out there, and he's in Las Vegas, where it is the home of everyone knows how to pick a ball game.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last night of the picks. I know him personally because I know him through being your son. He's the best person I've ever seen. And his number one rule, don't ever pay for plays.
Yeah.
Don't ever pay for plays.
Tony asked him that question the first time you ever interviewed him.
Yeah.
What's the number one rule if you're a sports bettor? He says, do not ever pay for picks.
No.
And he believes that, and so he's happy to share his knowledge, and we've got a great resource, and all of us do a pretty good job at different times of coming up with some winners. So if you like to invest in sports, K4 Wins is an absolute must on your weekly agenda.
K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, free site. You can subscribe and get after it right here on the starting lineup.
Let's go to Case Keefer in Las Vegas for his thoughts this week.
Hey, it's Case Keefer, longtime sports bettor and sports betting writer for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly, back again for another edition of the Vegas Heaters. A big one this week, a lot to celebrate after Rory McIlroy comes through for us at the Masters. I think we ended up adding 2 or 3 other bets, but Rory was the first guy we gave out right around Christmas at 14-1 at the time to win the Masters and complete the career Grand Slam, and made us work for it, made us sweat, but ultimately gets it done. It's kind of unimaginable now. Here on the show, we have given out the winners of out of the last 5 majors, we've given out the winner in 4 of them. I think 3 of those 4 were the first click, including Rory McIlroy. The one exception, Rory killed us, of course, in last year's U.S. Open. Didn't have Bryson DeChambeau, who chased him down when Rory got the putting yips like we saw him get again at Augusta. But we got to keep the train moving, try to keep on hitting these majors. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm already looking ahead to the next 2. These odds are out everywhere, so they should be easy to find. PGA Championship coming up, followed by the U.S. Open at Oakmont. The PGA, of course, will be at Quail Hollow, where you're going to hear ad nauseum for so long now how Rory McIlroy's won 3 or 4 times there. Might even overtake Scottie Scheffler as the favorite. Right now, they're about co-favorites at 5-1. The PGA, usually the way it's set up is I don't like looking for the very top favorite guys, so I've got 2 bets in that, 2 bets in the U.S. Open, and especially for the PGA, it's going to sound familiar. 2 of those aforementioned 4 wins last year came on Xander Schauffele. I am going back to the well for the PGA. I think he could go back-to-back Wanamaker trophies here. Of course, he had that rib injury. He's just now amping up. He could be a threat this week at Harbor Town at the RBC Heritage. I'm trying to beat him, but I will be really beaten up if he wins this because I can easily see him winning it. I was all over him last year. But getting back to the task at hand, the PGA Championship, you can find him as high at 17-1 at some major domestic sports books. That is just way too high. I really think I would be surprised if he won in one of these next couple tournaments he plays going into it. And Quail Hollow sets up just as well for him as it does for Rory. I don't believe he's won there, but I think he's finished second in 2 of his last 3 times. He's just like a top 10 machine. Really fits his game as well. So 17-1, to be honest, I don't see myself adding anyone lower in the PGA Championship. I guess I should never say never. You know, maybe people don't want to bet Rory at such a low price, and if he, climbs up and I find a good price somewhere else, I could get in on him. But the PGA, I think usually you want more mid and long range guys, which brings me to another guy that I could not believe was priced this high before the Masters when I bet it. It has gone down a little bit, but I played Colin Morikawa at 25-1 in the PGA Championship. Still available about 22-1. I mean, the fact of the matter is right now he is playing better than anyone in the world, save for Rory McIlroy, and probably still Scottie Scheffler. You got to give Scottie his due after a historic season last year, but Colin is going to win soon, and he might win a major. It's hilarious to me how fast these narratives change. I've heard people saying, well, Colin just can't win anymore. He can't break through. And it has been a couple years, but do we forget this guy's like a rookie, breaks through, wins 2 majors. I was on both of those as well, so he'll always be a favorite of mine. But this guy has it in him. It's going to happen sooner or later. He should not be above 20-1. I think in any tournament in the world, regardless of the course, this isn't the best course setup for him. Regardless of the field, he's just too good right now. So Colin Morikawa, 25-1. We'll go over to the U.S. Open, where I think Oakmont sets up even worse for him, but I found a 24-1 at a big domestic sports book. So I'm on Colin Morikawa in each of the next 2 majors, the PGA and the U.S. Open. We're kind of buying low on him, even though there's no reason we should be buying low. He's just that good. And then the U.S. Open, I am going chalky for the other one. I think Scottie Scheffler at anything above 5-1. Oakmont should set up perfectly for him with, so important to hit the ball long and straight. No one does that better than him. I can't believe he hasn't won a U.S. Open already, to be honest. It just usually the way the course is set up works so well for his game. So I bet Scottie Scheffler plus 550. That was only at one sports book. He's mostly 5-1. I think 5-1 for Scottie at the U.S. Open, not the PGA, is a good bet. So I'm going to go to war with Scottie and Colin to start in the U.S. Open in June, and as for the PGA, Morikawa and Schauffele. You might notice I have the football back for a few weeks. Is one other thing I wanted to touch on during this rapid-fire 6-minute stretch we always have on Vegas Heaters, a huge sporting event coming up here, the NFL Draft. Now, a lot of people have kind of stopped betting the draft as much. I've heard some of the market makers, complain it's just not as easy to get down as it was a few years ago. And yeah, true, these sports books aren't just giving away free money, seeing the interest. COVID times when there was nothing else going on, you could get down like 5 figures on these bets, and it wasn't the most well-informed. You just had to have the information. You get it. Now you can't do that. So I've kind of pivoted the other way. I've bet more on the NFL draft than I ever have before. Yes, the limits are lower, but I think that makes for a softer market. Any of these you can still easily get down $500. That's pretty good to me. And really what I'm rooting for, usually when you watch the draft, you want the surprises, you want the craziness. I want it to go just according to form this year. I have good positions on each of the top 5 that you see in most of the mock drafts. I want to see Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, and Mason Graham in that order. Now, where I break and think we could see a long shot right here at home in Las Vegas at number 6, the Raiders. All the national pundits are saying they are closing on Ashton Genty, and I get it from the Pete Carroll perspective. He wants that great running back to put his offense around, but I'm just not totally sold. I haven't heard as much buzz here, and I do cover the Raiders. I am around the team. That's not to say it won't happen. He's still probably the most likely player, but I don't necessarily think it's just a done deal that they go with Genty. That would be such a luxury pick for a roster that still has a lot of holes. The Raiders have gone out of their way to talk about how happy they are with the returning offensive line, despite the new coaching staff, how they're going forward with it. I wonder if they're kind of convincing themselves or putting up a smokescreen. There are 3 top 10 worthy tackles. I already mentioned Campbell, who hopefully, fingers crossed, is off the board by then, but you also got Mizzou's Mimbu and Texas's Banks. I would not be shocked if they ultimately went with one of those tackles. So I took offensive linemen to be the Raiders' first pick at 10-1. There's a draft bet for you. We'll get way more into the NBA, NHL, and keep building on the golf going forward in the weeks to come on the Vegas Heaters. Thanks for checking us out again.
A show that consistently kicks ESPN's College Game Day's butt every Saturday morning. We're happy about that. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Kip Keefer and Tony Curry, a lot of people know us. We have nearly 100 years of sports expertise, and of course, we're local right here in Birmingham in your backyard. So we talk about the things that are important to us. But one thing, if you watch ESPN, you realize that they have specialists for every single sport. So I love Major League Baseball. I love college football. I love college hoops. NHL, NBA, love to watch it. Not particularly good at, but that's why we have you to give us some of your great plays, because you stay on it.
You know, I know this is not a big hockey market here in Birmingham or in Alabama or even a lot of the Southeast, but when you make an investment on a game or a series in the NHL, the money they give you is just as green as for any other sport. We're like the #1 sports betting market in the whole country.
Yes, sir.
So just listen up. There's some really good playoff series opportunities in the National Hockey League. Bitter rivalry draw each other in the first round. The Florida Panthers, the defending champions, get the Tampa Bay Lightning in the cross-state battle. I think Tampa Bay is going to be the slight underdog, and I think they are going to take out the defending champions right off the bat.
Good.
The best team since the big tournament in the middle of the year during the All-Star break has been the Toronto Maple Leafs. A lot of folks don't realize that. They are playing an All-Canada series, which always draws all kinds of passion from our neighbors to the north. Toronto over Ottawa in that series. Good. So if you can get your man to give you some odds or any of the services that people are participating in, I like both those. And I'm a little bit of a homer here, but Vegas is playing really well right now. Went to 2 games over the weekend out in Las Vegas. They play the Minnesota Wild, who they are much better equipped to take out. Vegas will be the favorite. They're the #1 seed in the Pacific Division. I like Vegas big time in that. Quickly in the NBA, not usually a lot of upsets in the NBA. It's pretty chalky, but I do like 2. I think Detroit will end up beating the New York Knicks in their series.
Good young team.
Yeah, and I think they're just up and coming and a team to really keep your eye on. And the LA Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, I think the Clippers win that series. I think the Nuggets are a little dysfunctional. They dismissed their coach recently. They're just not the team that won the championship a couple years ago. So that's a couple picks on the upcoming playoffs.
Another thing you're pretty good at, because you're the executive director of the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, is horse racing. And we have the Kentucky Derby. We've got to get going, but I know you're going to have a lot to unload come up next Saturday for the Kentucky Derby, the first crown or first jewel in the crown, if you will, of the Triple Crown.
You know, we talked about the Masters at length. We've got a great podcast up right now, Keefer and Curry on the TKR radio network. Check that out if you like golf and the Masters. Tony and I really had a great discussion about why that's so special. To me, 1 and 1A are the Masters and the Kentucky Derby. The Kentucky Derby, this is the long-standing tradition. It's just so amazing. 20 horses. It's not like anything else in horse racing. Everybody's in love with a horse from California named Journalism, who has been an absolute monster in his last 2 races. There's a horse coming out of...
Don't give up too much now. Yeah. Don't give up too much now.
A horse coming out of Miami, I'm just going to give you a heads up, named Sovereignty, trained by Bill Mott, Hall of Fame trainer, fantastic trainer. He's only won 1 Derby, but he didn't really win it because he got put up by disqualification when maximum security was taken down. So this will be Mott's first chance to actually cross the finish line first, and I think Sovereignty's the horse to do it.
More next Saturday, 10:30, 11 o'clock, right here on ABC 3340. Starting lineup. Have yourself a wonderful, holy, and happy Easter.